Good morning, welcome to the workshop. I'm Ron. Today we're going to look at how to prepare your Anglepoise lamp components ready for paint spray. Last week we used low temperature aluminium brazing rods to repair this broken arm. As you can see, the weld or brazing isn't perfect. If we were to simply paint this brazing, it would get a very poor finish. What we need to do before we start applying any top coats is to fill and smooth out these imperfections. Our first step is to take car body filler and apply a good thick coating to the areas which need to be filled. As you can see with this repair, there is a step between the filler rod or strengthening piece inside and the finished level of the arm. Now we'll have to fill that small area in with body filler. To aid that and to maintain a nice clean hole through the entire arm, you can insert the drill back into the arm and leave that in as a format piece, and then pack the filler around the outside of it. If you're not careful, you can use the car body filler to cement that drill in there, and it's very difficult to get out. One little tip you can do is to coat the drill with a fine film of oil. That will prevent the car body filler sticking to it and ease removal. However, you must ensure that when you remove the drill and the interior of the arm has got a coating of oil on it, you must take some degreaser and remove the oil, because oil is a nightmare when it comes to trying to apply aerosol paint. So I'll show you what to do, but normally we would take a cotton wool bud with some leaded petrol or unleaded petrol and use the petrol to degrease the inside of the arm. We'll show you that step we come to it. A couple of things about car body filler. If you're going to do a lot of mixing up, a tile, in this case it's a mirrored tile, it's ideal for mixing on. Being glass, it's easier to scrape clean after you've used it. You'll also need a spatula of some description, some hardener, and a little bit of body filler. Obviously for this particular arm we're only going to need slightly more than a pea size, so it won't take much to be able to repair this arm. So taking just a little bit of oil, there we are, that will do. Make sure you clean your hands. You can see how shiny it is. It's just a little thin layer of oil. That'll prevent the body filler from grabbing the twist drill. So take the lightly oiled twist drill, insert it into the arm and start to prepare your body filler. We have the hardener and the body filler itself. With a spatula, follow the instructions on your particular brand. Usually the percentage of mix is to represent the size of a golf ball to the size of a pea. In this case we don't need quite as much as that, so I just follow the general proportions. So thoroughly mix these two components together until the colour is uniform, and then apply it to the arm. You can see it doesn't take very long to actually mix the components together. Uniform pinky colour in this case. So now we can apply that straight to the arm. You don't have a great deal amount of time to apply this to the arm. It starts to go hard, depending on how much harder you put in about a minute or two. So we'll put it straight under the arm now. As you can see, we put a pretty much an even coat around it. It doesn't have to be perfect because you can rub all this down. But one of the important things is that the twist drill has the unfluted section, that's the part with no grooves in it, protrudes through both sides of the arm. If it doesn't, and the flutes do get caught inside of the arm, you'll have an uneven hole when the body filler dries. So that's pretty much it. Give it 24 hours for it to dry, and then you can remove the drill and start rubbing it down. We'll do that tomorrow. Hi, welcome back. It's been 24 hours. The drill is actually quite loose. The oil has done its job, so this can be removed, and you're left with a nice clean hole. Our next step is to dress that down with a file and abrasive paper to get it back to shape. Once this is rubbed down, we can see how effective the first coat's been, and you may need to apply a second coat to catch any parts which have been missed. So as you can see, I've protected the piece with a bit of cloth, clamped it in the vise, and I'm going to take quite a coarse file and remove the excess body filler. You may find that your files get clogged quite quickly, and you'll have to clean them with a cleaning brush or a wire brush. Continue that process until you get close to the original shape, and then you can swap to a finer file and then eventually abrasive paper. I'll continue with that and I'll come back in a moment. Repeat that process on all four sides. Try and keep the file as flat as you can. You'd expect to find sections that have been rubbed back down to the original aluminium arm and sections that are still filled with body filler. Keep the file flat. Follow the curvature of the edges. When you got to that point, it's about time to drop down to a fine abrasive paper, 240 grit. Again, the idea is to try and keep the workpiece as flat as possible, so I'm going to wrap it around the rub and down block. These are self-adhesive discs of abrasive paper designed for orbital sanders. The most important thing is to maintain the flat shape of the top and bottom. Ensure you keep the workpiece flat. Ensure you keep the rub and down block flat. Always use a rub and down block. So after I rubbed down the body filler, the arm on the top was the broken one. You can see the shape is still a little bit deformed, but it's pretty similar to the amount of damage on the overall lamp. So if you wanted to be precise, small divots like that could be filled again. However, the lower arm is deformed and has dents as well, so you'd be better off leaving it with small imperfections, just so that the two arms look similar. I think you can agree that that's an acceptable repair. So you can see that the hole drilled through the arm is filled to the top, which is the one on the left. The overall shape of the arm is pretty good. Our next step is to treat it with some etch primer. The etch primer acidically burns itself into the surface of the aluminium arm, giving a much more secure application of the paint, so your top coats are less likely to scratch off. The primer also shows up any imperfections which are difficult to see because of the reflective surfaces. So we'll quickly give it a coat of etch primer, and then I can decide whether it needs another coating of body filler.